Right, hello there, good evening, and welcome back to my channel. My name is Paul. I'm also called Knickknack. I'm also known on YouTube as at Mr. Cuddy2977, and I do the daily teaser quiz. I write a blog called Knickknack's Old Peculiar, and if you have a go at the quiz, that's where your answers go. I also talk about TV shows I've watched and movies I've been watching. I really should sit in with a film at some point. At any rate, over the past few weeks, I've been watching the current series of Doctor Who, and it's Sunday the 1st of June at the moment. Last night was Saturday the 31st of May. We caught what turns out to be Ncuti Gatwa's last episode of Doctor Who. I should also add that at the time I wrote the post that this video is based on, there was lots of rumours about who was going to take over, or whether the screen would just go black, or what was going to happen should Ncuti regenerate. He regenerated. Someone unexpected appeared, and we'll probably do more of that in the main part of my review of The Reality War. Episode 8, The Reality War, opens with a brief recap of Wishworld, showing us the Doctor, Ncuti Gatwa, falling to his apparent doom, and then shifts to show us the Doctor being rescued by Anita, Steph de Wally, who we last met in Joy to the World in December. Anita has been the manager of the Time Hotel, and noticing the place that is having trouble connecting to one specific date in the 21st century. As we see her pulling the Doctor through the door, we see the Rani and Mrs. Flood, Archie Panjabi and Anita Dobson, cursing the Doctor's rescue, and then being shown Ruby and Belinda waking up in their beds in the Wishworld. In a Wishworld that's subtly different to the one they were expecting. We find from Anita that the hotel is having issues with stability caused by the Wishworld resetting every time it hits 12 o'clock on the 23rd of May. And all that, she's been searching for the Doctor, but also wants to help fight the Rani. But first, before the pair can take the fight to the villainous Time Lady, before they do that, they have to get Belinda and Poppy, Sienna Robin Mavanga Phipps, that little girl's got a name, they have to get Poppy and Belinda to safety. Mother and child have to be taken to the one place on Earth where they will be utterly safe in a zero room built for the occasion. Unit HQ. You can tell there's going to be problems on the way, can't you? Right, what did I make of that little lot? What did I make of an hour and 6 minutes worth of season finale? The series as a whole. The show's possible future. I think we have a lot to unpack. Now, in one of her videos for the Who Culture channel, Ellie Littlechild described Wishworld as a very busy episode. There's lots of plot points going on, lots of exposition, hell of a lot of characters all running around panicking. And I think Ellie will be saying the same about the Reality War in their up-and-coming, up-and-down videos that they do so well. I'm mildly jealous of how they get away with it, I really am. But at any rate, my point is I believe Ellie and the rest of the gang will be saying exactly the same thing about the Reality War. It's an episode with a lot of plot points, a lot to explain and discuss, a lot of exposition, and a hell of a lot of characters wandering around doing stuff. It's nice to see the unit crew, Kate Stewart, Ross, Rose, Noble Temple, Colonel Ibrahim, Mel, Shirley. It's good to see the gang back in the episode, for example. Mel's big speech about the Rani was quite something to watch, I'll tell you that much. But at any rate, it is nice to see them all in. It is nice to see them doing their thing. And it's nice to see UNIT doing what, back in the classic series, it was very well known for. A great big military operation. But it struck me there was quite a lot of characters with potentially not enough to do. That said, the unit scenes in the Reality War seemed far better paced than their equivalents in the Giggle a couple of years ago. The military action looks superb, and all the characters are coordinated by Kate, Gemma Redgrave, and doing their jobs very well. They seem to have got this done, this big fight scene, done a lot better than previous versions of UNIT. What else is there? The cast, the collective ensemble cast did a very good job. Each and every single one of them. My personal standouts, my personal favourites, for a start, was Archie Panjabi as the very neo-fascist version of the Rani. One that I found not necessarily reminiscent of a mad scientist, but one that was very reminiscent of the likes of Josef Mengele, the Nazi concentration camp doctor, who, let's just put it this way, wasn't exactly what you call pleasant, and leave it there. She did a great job playing a fictionalized Time Lady version of exactly that sort of character. Steph Diwali as a returning Anita was as superb as she was in Joy to the World. There's one scene early on where she tells us how she was finding the Doctor and finds these different versions of them before getting to Ncuti's version, her version of the Doctor, and opening the door to see a scene from Rogue where the 15th Doctor and Rogue are dancing together, and the look on the face of of Steph Diwali as Anita realising what's going on was beautifully done. That character, I think, really does deserve to be made a permanent companion. Although the fact that Anita is 3 months pregnant kind of rules that out for now. It's a shame. The character's a good one, and I'd love to see more of her. Millie Gibson as Ruby, again, was good and held up her end quite well, I felt. But the real stars of the show, as ever, were Varada Sethu as Belinda and Ncuti Gatwa as the Doctor. Utterly, utterly, utterly superb, the pair of them. The screaming shame of the thing, though, is that the reality war is Ncuti's last appearance in the role of the Doctor. I would frankly have killed to see a third season with him in the lead role. I felt he was very damn good. What else can we talk about? Oh, yes. Omega. I think my one big criticism, and there's possibly a small criticism too, but my one big criticism of the reality war is simply this. In both Wishworld and this episode, we get a lot of discussion about Omega, of how he's the first Time Lord, he's the original sin, the Titan, the mad god of time. Betcha Michael Moorcock would have loved that title, but there we go. I just don't know, whatever the titles he has, I do not know if what we got, a hideous undead dog-like thing, was quite what I was hoping for. What we got was a giant CGI-generated undead skeletal zombie dog thing, a sort of zombie version of Sutekh from season 1. It's well designed, it's momentous, it's monstrous, it's scary. It's hopefully something that will, in the finest traditions of Doctor Who, scare the living daylights out of small children and annoy Mary Whitehouse. But, and I will be thoroughly honest here, however annoyed Mary Whitehouse may have got by the thing, I personally was hoping for something a little different. Growing up when I did, and having seen Omega's earlier appearances, I was hoping for something that looked like the version played by Stephen Thorne in The Three Doctors, a version of a person in a CGI-enhanced physical costume, complete with an utterly updated copy of that by now famous mask, the sort of thing that seems to be made of leather plates, sort of tinged with metal. It's utterly gorgeous, and it's a Doctor Who equivalent to Tolkien's Sauron from The Lord of the Rings, for example, or Morgoth from the Silmarillion. And I don't know if Peter Jackson took inspiration from Doctor Who in some of his designs for the Ringwraith. That's sort of what I was hoping for. the Lovecraftian thing that is the modern Omega was scary, I think, but not quite right. The other minor Omega themed point here is quite simply this. The plot was resolved inside of 36 minutes of the episode, roughly halfway through. I would frankly have been happier with a more goth kind of look, and I would have been happier if fighting this big bad had taken a little bit longer. There are possibly a few more points I could be raising here. Possibly 2, possibly 3, depends on what you're counting them as. The first is the great big screamingly huge obvious one. Quite simply, the credits. This episode sees a very welcome return for Jodie Whittaker, reprising her role as the 13th Doctor, and it was a very well done scene. I think she did better off of these few minutes than she ever did in position as the Doctor. I felt the COVID lockdowns, for starters, did not give us much of a chance to explore that very manic style of hers. It saw Miss Whittaker getting one last on-screen credit for her work as the Doctor. The second point, again credits related, we see Ncuti regenerating. The Reality War is his last episode, and he's been replaced, apparently, and probably as you already know by now, by Billie Piper. The reason I mention credits is that the credits for Billie's part in this episode simply read, "and introducing Billie Piper," without actually saying who she's playing. Quite what that means, I don't know. There's also someone else missing from both the episode and from, as a result, the credits. There is no sign in the Reality War of Carol Ann Ford as Susan Foreman, the Doctor's granddaughter, despite both the character and the actress being in the 2 preceding episodes, in Wishworld and the Interstellar Song Contest. We don't see her story tied off. Why? I don't know, but I could really do with seeing some more of her. Let's go sideways, shall we? You, like I, will have realised that the Reality War is the last of this current series of Doctor Who. And you, like I, will have realised that at the time of recording, literally the day after the episode aired, no announcement has been made about further Disney funding for Doctor Who. Personally, I hope the funding continues. It's a way of keeping the show going. And from what I'm told, or from what I understand of what I've read, the funding had mostly been spent on making sure the broadcast audio and video matches Disney's streaming requirements, or that's where some of it's gone. It's something I felt reflected in the broadcast version I saw last night. As you probably know, it was, unlike earlier episodes of this series, it was not aired on iPlayer before broadcast. So I watched it at 10 to 7 on Saturday night with the rest of the nation when it was broadcast on TV. I did not catch it on iPlayer, as has been my wont with earlier episodes. All of these episodes were at 1080 quality, I should stress, but I felt the version of the episode of the Reality War that I watched on the terrestrial broadcast on BBC seemed of higher quality than the earlier episodes, the ones I watched on iPlayer. I don't know if there was any particular difference, but somehow, to me, this terrestrial broadcast looks a better quality, despite me watching it on the same TV under 2 different sets of circumstances. I believe that difference, if it was there, is in part because the broadcast version, the TV version, uses a higher quality master, or at least, at the very least, allows for more data to go into your to be picked up by your TV. They have to do, the streamers have to do a broadcast at a lower data rate, I believe, because there's less bandwidth going down an internet cable than there is going through an antenna. Quality aside, I am also assuming that dealing with just Disney makes international negotiations simpler. The BBC would only have to deal with one company broadcasting everywhere rather than X different streamers in Y different territories. If that's true, like I say, I can only hope the Disney deal continues. But if not, if they don't choose to follow this through, I can only hope that the BBC continues funding the show on its own and negotiate international details as and when they're ready to broadcast something new, a bit nearer the time, in other words. Assuming funding can be found, what's the shape of the show's future? When, assuming the thing isn't permanently cancelled, is a new series to be broadcast? I can honestly tell you this, I don't know. There is talk that the show will go on hiatus, as happened at the end of the original run. There is talk that the show will have a short pause before restarting broadcast at some point in 2027. I don't know for sure what's going to happen, but I hope the latter option, a restart in 27, with funding from whoever, will be the route chosen. From the little I know, Russell T Davies has got several scripts written and other stories prepared, if not put to paper. I can only hope that these hit the screen and that we get our story questions answered, both the ones in universe, what's happened to Susan, and the ones outside. We can only wait for an announcement, and that announcement, I suspect, will presumably come after the broadcast of the war between land and the sea. We are going to literally have to wait to see what happens. So, what did I make of the reality war and of the season it's the end of? Yes, I think the episode does have issues. It's as busy as its predecessor, but just as well made. And while I think it could have shown more of Omega and had other stories to close, the reality war is entertaining, it's watchable, and it's a suitable finale. As for this second series, again, it's a good series overall. It's something of a return to form, and I feel an improvement on series one. My only real disappointment outside of the whole situation with Omega is simply that it's Ncuti Gatwa's last series. He's giving us an interesting version of a much-loved character, and I'd prefer that he'd stayed for a third series. Yes, I would prefer that, but I can only wish him well for his future. At any rate, both the stories and the finale and the series were watchable, entertaining, and I sat down and drank them all in. I think I can only say that that is flattering, and I can only hope that there's more to come. Right, that is where I'm going to be leaving things for now. That does not mean I'm going to stop watching TV, nor stop reviewing things, nor stop catching movies and Blu-ray box sets. I will be telling you what I thought of Stranger Things, Star Trek Strange New Worlds, and For All Mankind, as and when the various new series drop. I believe Stranger Things is due at some point in December, it seems. At any rate, and until then, I will say goodbye and farewell for now, and just ask you as a last favour, please feel free to hit like on this video. Feel free to subscribe my channel if I'm doing stuff you're interested in, and please feel free to follow me on my blog, Knickknacks Old Peculiar. I will catch you when I catch you later. Take care, be good, and be seeing you.